This video cannot teach you what it's about. That's the truth. If it could, the topic wouldn't exist. Let me make it clear. So, this is not a teaser. This is the claim. Some forms of knowledge can be transmitted, others can only be recognized after the fact. You already know this. You just don't know how you know it. The demonstration, no definition. Watch two people speak. One holds the room, the other doesn't. You notice it instantly. Now explain the difference. No gesture, no posture, no voice, not words. Strip each explanation away and something remains. You can see it, you cannot name it. That reminder is not mysterious. It is illegible. Philosophers call this tactic knowledge. That level explains nothing. It's only points. And pointing is all that's possible. Here's what we do instead. We pretend it doesn't exist. Or we pretend we can systemize it. Both responses are the same. And a refusal to accept that some knowledge resists codification, not because we are not smart enough, but because codification itself is the wrong category. The lie we live with is very dangerous. Lenin, we live in a civilization that pretends everything important can be explained. If it can't be explained, we distrust it. But if it can't be systematized, we dismiss it. If it can't be taught at scale, we ignore it. So we create substitute frameworks instead of judgment, metrics instead of taste, courses instead of apprenticeship, and then we are confused. When excellence disappears, let me be clear, when absence disappears, the failure of explanation happens. Matter of no fact, judgment. Leadership manual don't produce leaders. Creativity courses don't produce artists. Charisma training doesn't produce presence. Not because the ideas are wrong, but because the object of transfer is wrong. You can't transfer that. You can't download judgment. You cannot outsource taste. It's a valuable thing. You cannot explain embodiment. Attempt to do so doesn't just fail, it destroys the thing. It tries to preserve, hold. Here is an example. A joke is funny, right? Explain why it's funny and it stops being funny. Why? The explanation kills the phenomena, not because the explanation is wrong, but because humor is structurally illegible. It works only when unexplained. And that's the beauty of it. This is true of most things that matter. Like the discomfort, this is the core, almost vulnerable. If you are waiting for the technique now, notice that pause, that impulse to extract, apply, optimize is precisely what blocks. This kind of knowing is just illegible knowledge, doesn't reward effort, doesn't. It punishes impatience. It arrives sideways through time, through proximity, through failure, through usual when you stop trying, no acquiring it. That is why. That is why you can spend a decade reading about leadership and never become a leader. You can study art history and never develop taste. You can take every course on presence and never hold a room. Never. Not because you didn't learn, but because learning was never the mechanism. It was never the mechanism. The consequence AI era will be a turnover for whole world. As machine become better at explaining, optimizing and teaching, the eligible becomes more valuable, not less, not more. AI will master explicit rules, codified knowledge, transferable skill, and whatever. It will never master. That's the irony. Taste. Presence. Judgment. Yeah. I'm talking about judgment. Timing. Wisdom. Yeah, I missed that. Wisdom. Those are not data problem. They are formation problems. It's a formative fundamental problem that cannot be scaled at a large level or a small level. Yeah, sadly, I'm leaning that, which means that in a world where AI can do everything explainable, the only remaining human advantage is what cannot be explained. And right now, at present, we are systematically destroying the conditions that create it. It's very vulnerable. Very. The indictment we should learn from all of this is that if you feel uneasy right now, good, very good. That uneasy means you recognize something you cannot yet possess. If you feel disappointed, that's better. Yeah, that's better. Disappointment means you expected extraction. And extraction is the habit this video is trying to break. Hold a second, right? I know you're just, most of you watching this are people who learn from a living, right? Students, researcher, professions, professional workers, knowledge makers. You have built your identity around the idea that understanding precedes action. And that if you learn enough, you will know what to do. This video is telling you that for the thing that matter the most, that model is backwards. Action precedes understanding. That's the truth. Formation precedes knowledge. You become first, you become last. Understanding comes later, very later. If at all, okay, hold a second. If at all happens like this, the close, no comfort. This video didn't teach you anything. And if it worked, it reminded you of something you already knew, but had no permission to trust. Some knowledge must be lived, not to be learned until it quietly becomes you. Very unsophisticatedly. And that feel unusual and unpathetic. That is not a flaw of argument. This is the argument. Yeah, maybe it was just a kidding. That's the solution to it. Okay.